Hey everyone, I think it's finally reached the point in the season where it is time to pull most of the rest of the annuals out of our pots. Some of you may have seen my video from earlier in the season where we pulled out some of the annuals in our summer containers and did a fall refresh. And I think it's finally time to pull out most of the rest of the annuals in containers. Now I'm not going to do a full refresh and fill up every single one of these containers with fall annuals. We have a lot of containers and I don't really want to be responsible for taking care of all of them through the winter. So we're just going to pull out, I'm going to say there's probably 3 or 4 that need to have the annuals pulled out, and I have some annuals that are in the ground, the Supertunia Bubblegum and the Supertunia Fuchsia that I'm looking at right here. I mean, they still look really, really pretty. I'll show you a picture of them, but it's almost Halloween. We've had a relatively warm, above normal temperature-wise fall, so everything has been able to still flourish. But next week it's going to get cold. We're going to have temperatures at night, a couple of nights in the 20s, the rest of the nights in the 30s, so I feel like everything's going to pretty much go to mush next week, maybe even some of the mums. So I did manage to buy some more cabbages, ornamental cabbages, kales, that I'm going to replace some of these annuals with. And I'm going to be on the hunt for some pansies. Now I did buy some pansies earlier, I'm going to say sometime in September, at a nursery out in Lancaster County, and they were not the best looking. Now they have come back, they do look really pretty, and I have been looking at several big box stores and even some other local nurseries for some more pansies, and I've just not been impressed. They all look rather stressed and wilted and just brown. So I'm going to try to purchase some more pansies so that I can put the ornamental cabbages and pansies in the rest of these pots, because they are more cold tolerant and they will last a lot longer than mums. So I'm going to turn you around and show you what I have so far and what we're going to be pulling. So come garden with me and let's take care of the rest of these annuals. So this is one of the pots that we're going to be working on today. There is a dahlia in here that I'm going to save. It does have a lot of new buds on it, but I just don't think the temperatures and the sun at this time of the year are going to allow this to bloom much longer. So we're going to be pulling that and saving it. And then I have some calibrachoa and some petunias and an angelonia in here that have just not bloomed for weeks. I'll take you over here and show you. You can probably already see the Supertunia Vista Bubblegum and the Supertunia, I think it's Fuchsia. I mean, they've created a really beautiful mat over here. But like I said, next week after those cold temperatures, they're just going to go mushy. So it's probably going to be easier to just get them out now. That pot, let's get closer look, is looking worse for the wear, so I feel like that one needs to go. This is a sweet potato vine, some pretty verbena, and a pentas. So as you can see, I have some ornamental cabbages. Now they do have some yellow leaves on them, but that's fine. We'll pull those off, get them in some of the pots, and those will come back. I think I want to get a couple of bigger cows or cabbages to replace the Supertunia Vista. Obviously it's pretty sizable area there for annuals. So initially I wanted to put these 3 cabbages, I don't know if these are cabbages or kale, I think they're kale, in this bed to replace the Supertunias, but I don't think they're going to be big enough. And I did see at one of our local nurseries some really, really big, beautiful ornamental cabbages, so I might have to get a couple of those to put in that bed. All of these annuals over here, I feel like it's time for them to go too. Again, we've been saving the salvia for the hummingbirds, but it's been weeks since we've seen any hummingbirds out here. And again, I feel like if we let these go mushy in the temperatures next week, they're just going to be really nasty to try and pull. So I think we're going to get all these done between today and tomorrow. Hey everyone. So as you can see, I was able to source some pansies and some more kales. I should have bought some more bigger kales, but I want to wait until the cold weather we have coming up next week. It's going to be really cold at night a couple of nights. So I want to wait and see which of the rest of the annuals that we have kind of go mushy and need to be pulled before I buy more fall annuals to replace them with. But anyway, I was able to get some pansies at the same garden center that I bought the Thea Thin Man from, and they're really pretty, they're really decent. They just needed some water. I'll show you those in a sec, but my goodness, it is October 28th and it is incredibly warm already. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning and I think it's only 73 degrees, but it feels like it's closer to 80. It's going to be a warm and muggy one today, almost like summer again. So I want to get these tasks taken care of early so that I'm not out here in the full sun. So here's the collection of pansies that I got. I think these are 6 packs. So I got purple, white, maroon, and orange. So I found a really nice selection of colors. And these are the 2 smaller kales that I bought. My garden cart here with everything I think is going to be necessary for some of what we're going to take care of today. And just to get back to those 2 little kales, I think they're like a 4-inch container. So I think we're going to put them up here on this hay rack we have on the deck. I pulled out the salvia that was in here. I think I showed that in my herb garden. One of those salvias was in this hay rack, and we saved it for the hummingbirds. It was too tall for this hay rack, so I put a cabbage in there. So I think I'm going to put those 2 kales on either side where these super bells need to come out. They're obviously no longer blooming. The zinnias still have some blooms, but I think I'm just going to replace those with pansies. So I'm going to take you along with me and show you what I'm going to start with first. I bought more of these little pumpkins too because I really think these will look cute, some of these containers, but unfortunately I didn't. Maybe next week. I'm just making myself some space right now so that I can get in here. We're going to be tackling some other projects today too, which is why I bought my trusty pop-up gardener supply bag, because this dahlia needs to be cut back. At this time of the year, it starts to flop. It's pretty much done blooming. I'd say when it's fully straightened up, it's about 6 feet tall, but when it flops, it starts to take up way too much real estate on our patio. And it's really ready to go. It's dry and crispy. You can see it's pretty dry and crispy in there. So we're going to be cutting this back. I don't have to bring this one in to overwinter it. It does just fine under there. I have a feeling that it's pretty warm in there in the winter, even in really cold winters, because I've never had a winter kill it off, even the really, really cold ones. But it's time for it to go. First, I'm going to try to get these annuals out of this pot without making a huge mess. Wish me luck. I don't think that's going to work. Try not not to replace too much of the dirt, but I did bring some extra with me. Potato from the sweet potato vine, which is very dry. Wow, big sweet potatoes. Oh my goodness. Actually growing into the stone. This is why they're called sweet potato vines, because these are actually sweet potatoes. Now I don't believe they're edible, but I think you can see how dry that soil is. I feel like at this time of the year, the annuals have been in these pots for so long that no matter how much you water them, they're kind of root bound, so it's tough to keep the pots, the containers moist. I mean, we don't have drip irrigation on anything here, so other than the soaker hose we have run up front. But let's tackle these super tunias next. I want to show you how well they are rooted in. I mean, it's like a mat under there. See that small root ball from these huge plants. I don't think that bird's too happy with me. This was 3 plants. Wow. My bag is full already. Left the patio really dirty, and you can see we've had some columbine pop up, which hopefully I didn't damage. I'm not sure where these came from. These just sort of pop up from there. Really pretty. Also have Goldmaster alliums in here, so I'm gonna have to be really careful if I come along and plant anything else in there. But I'm gonna go get something to clean this up first. I was not anticipating that being so dirty under there. Just trying to decide what color pansies I think would look good with this particular kale. I think I want to save most of the white ones for a different location. I think the orange ones I'm going to put, probably not all of them, up on that hay rack on the deck. So I don't know, either the purple or the pretty burgundy, maybe a combination of both, since the kale has purplish burgundy foliage in it as well. Just cleaning out the pot a little bit too. Cleaning the pot out, some of these extra roots, don't really want all that in there. Not using biotone, these are just going to be in here for a few months. You don't really want them to get really rooted in. Took my gloves off because I really find it easier to work without gloves, to be quite honest with you, but I think this one came out pretty. Not really impressed with these market packs though. I don't like the way the plants are just in one big container. They're not separated by any kind of divider. So it was a little rough ripping them apart. But I think this one turned out well. I'm going to get the rest of these going. Looks better already. I talked about dividing this year and planting it elsewhere, but I never got around to it. Actually, I had 2 stakes driven into the ground and had to tie it halfway through the season. That's how vigorous and big this dahlia is. So I think it's definitely time to divide it. The only thing we'll do over here now is put some mulch over that for the winter, and it'll be just fine. Although I think maybe we're going to have to cut those stalks a little lower because we're not going to pile the mulch up that high. You don't want to leave tubes like that, especially for dahlias. You don't want water to get in there and freeze because then it will kill it. Although I highly doubt that's going to happen here because it's under the eaves. But for your purposes, if you have a dahlia that you think you can overwinter, just make sure you don't leave canes with the holes in it for ice to get in there and freeze, because you will lose it. Taking all the annuals out of this pot too. This is the one that has the dahlia in it that we're trying to save though, so everything's coming out pretty easily. Dahlias require a little bit more specialized handling. And again, this pot, get my shadow out of there. This pot's going to get a kale and some pansies. Maybe those 2 pumpkins. This is a little bit bigger pot. I feel like it needs a little bit more in it. And I'm not too worried about the dahlia getting broken because it's just the bulb we're trying to save, not the branches. We'll pull that out. I'll take that in, clean it off, put it in a dark container in the basement for the winter, and it'll be ready to plant in the spring. Save some money that way. Sometimes I save the dahlias, sometimes I don't. I mean, these are just, I don't know, unbranded dahlias that I bought at a local nursery. This one is really, really pretty intense orangey red, so that's why I want to save it. That's what we're trying to save, all those bulbs. And since there, or tubers, and since there's several of them there, we can actually divide this in the spring and plant them. Probably get 3 or 4 plants out of that. So that will go in, first I'll take it in the house and clean it off. Then it'll go, I use just really a cardboard box. Every once in a while, I will go down the basement in the winter and put a damp paper towel around it just to keep it moist so it doesn't dry out completely, but you don't want it too wet so that it rots. And then we can plant that up in probably April or May. So my husband's doing the same thing here that I did with the last pot, just taking out some of the dirt so we can fit the plants in. And I think we're going to do the same kind of combination over here. We're going to do the kale with the purple and the burgundy. Pansies, I think we're going to use up all of the burgundy and the purple in here because it's a slightly bigger pot. I don't have any purple left that are blooming, but it gets a fair amount of sun right here, so I think that they'll push new blooms, hopefully. If not, I still think it'll be a lot nicer looking than the spent annuals were. This one's finished up. I think it looks cute. On to the next one. I'm going to attempt to pull some of these out now. We're not finished with the annual plantings, but I want to get some of this stuff pulled in the meantime. So we're going to pull everything except that dahlia over there, which looks fine for now. Come around next week, pull it, save it. So I'm fairly sure that this is going to be easy. These are just zinnias and salvias that I feel like should come out of the ground relatively, maybe simply, maybe not. Or I just can't do it while holding the camera. Well, maybe not. That's pretty rooted in. Wow, that's a big root ball. This was black and bloom salvia. I really like the dark purple flowers. And these zinnias are just unbranded from a local nursery. Do any of you hate to hear the crunching of that? But it is the time of the year. Okay, the next one is going to be the hay rack on the deck. We're going to get rid of these zinnias, these Calibracoa, I believe these were, or were they mini? I don't even remember at this point, but anyway, they're coming out. Even got weeds in here. So we already have a cabbage in here, and we're going to put the Yokohama Reds. I think we're going to get them as far out to the edges of this hay rack as we can, and then we're going to put in some of the pretty orange pansies. So that's what's going to go into this container. Guess we could have used a new cocoa liner, but we'll do that in the spring because we already had that cabbage in there. And if you're wondering why my husband's doing the planting and I'm doing the filming, it's because he's just faster at planting and I'm better at working the gimbal. In these containers, what we're going to take out is the Pennisetum rubrum, because although it is looking pretty, even though it's not getting any sun, and it is a sun annual, it's only hardy, I think, in zone like 8 and 9. So once the cold weather hits next week, it's going to be done. We're also taking out the begonias because they're going to be done as well. What is going to be left in here is the pumpkin spice heucherella, and then we're going to plant a kale and some pansies. Taking the opportunity to cut some of this catmint back. This is Walker's Low, and it is very, very vigorous, as you can see, spilling over this wall. It smells so good. It will be nice to see the wall again now. So here's a shot of the final container that we are switching out today with fall annuals. I'm not sure I'm 100% impressed, but given that this is my first stab, I'll take it. It looks better than the summer annuals that were just tired. So there's one there. There's one here. And then we'll go take a final shot at the other ones. This is the hay rack on the deck. Pretty. We've got 3 kales, or 2 kales and a cabbage. I honestly don't know what that one in the middle is. Some pretty orange pansies. And then we did this pot over here with some pumpkins, some kale, maroon pansies. And then we did this pot over here. We haven't cleaned up yet. We'll get to that. Kale and pansies. And of course we got a little bit of cleanup done in the herb garden. So thanks for coming along again today to work with us on refreshing some more of our containers for fall. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.